I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Julpy and Ghosty.
Order of Elijah nails over duct tape for the big homie My Insanity. My Insanity selected the Fast Pass option. It gets you straight to the head of the line on Patreon. Multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. My favorite way is the $1 option. Get $1 in at the gate, and then you jump into the rabbit hole, as it were. You get scooped up by an alliance leader, and from there you get to make a pitch to your alliance group, and then if you make that happen, and each alliance operates a little bit differently, it gets you a good shot at getting your song reviewed. Another way to do it is the Fast Pass option or the partner tier, where you partner with us to build the channel and further the goal of getting us to be completely full time. That's the $125 option, and you get a song reviewed, and then for extra $25 you actually review the song with us. So there's been times when you've seen people review songs with us. Those are the options that you have. And then of course there's Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz there. For sure. Patreon, we're trying to revamp it, make it more dynamic, give other cool sort of things, behind the scenes stuff, sometimes a little bit personal, but stuff where like you want to ventilate, but you don't want to ventilate to 140,000 people. And so that's kind of been an option from moi. Okay. For time and topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. This is the Order of Elijah nails over duct tape.
Shout out to our patrons. At the end of this video, you'll see a little video we put together to thank you guys. So that's there. Ready?
You all appreciate it. That's my Tupac voice.
And go.
Go!
Whoops. Go.
To some, it's art. To most people, however, it is a play that never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends.
Okay, that at the beginning, that talking, it reminded me of like, remember those movies we used to watch growing up of like The End of the World, The Mark of the Beast?
Oh, yeah.
They always had some
Yeah.
some radio.
Little 60s radio thing.
Yeah. So when it was like, I was like, yeah, there was something at the beginning. That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. This is the noise of the... What do you think the song is about?
I don't know, I got that you should choose your path. And oh my gosh. Oh, my sister used to say this. She went through this phase where she'd be like, what would you do if you were squeaking a tissue across your eye and it turned into a razor blade? I used to hate it when she would do stuff like that. And who does that? Nobody squeaks tissues across their eye. Or she'd be like, what if you were sliding down a baluster and it turned into a razor blade? Like, all these horrible things. Like, whoa! Why would you say that? And it reminded me of that when it talked about the slicing the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop! Get away from me! I don't know. Just, I choosing your path.
Yeah, it looks like it's like trying to get yourself back to, you know, I hate this term, but finding yourself, because it starts off by saying this is a noise of the system, taking back what's grown so and what is it? What did the guy say at the beginning?
I don't know.
To most people, however, it is a play that never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends.
Okay, to
never
some,
ends.
That never ends?
to some people it's art. To most people, however, it's a plague that never ends. Is what that guy said.
Okay.
So I think it's about. So that kind of sets the tone to some degree. It's like only a chosen few are going to understand what we're trying to do here, or
the song,
or are going to appreciate art for what it is, which is kind of like the metal community, right? Like people like, oh, this is noise. This is it's the same thing you hear all the time. People talk, oh, this is just noise, but
I used to
it's
think
like
that.
yeah, and it's like fine, go ahead,
Guys.
and like you have terminology for. I think somebody at the beginning of the channel, somebody called us normies or something like that.
Normies?
Yeah, they were kind of like metal elitist type people, you know what I mean? And everybody, shut up, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is the reason why, the metal community gets so much trash there. But, so I think that kind of sets a tone, like, because you do kind of have to. The thing about metal is like it starts off sounding like noise, and it is noise. Like if we were talking to an engineer, and the guy's like, he's produced like major bands, and so he was talking about. We did an interview with the guy. I don't even think you remember the interview we did, but we did an interview with this guy, and he was saying that he was like, look, metal is noise, and he was looking at it from the production angle of how to make the noise work together. So that you can actually get something intelligible out of it, and he was like, that's why you will say that such and such band sounds horrible live, because what you're saying is
they can't mesh the sounds together well.
They're not doing very well with making the noise decipherable, so they sound bad live because it just becomes a bunch of noise. And what he was saying is, look, the raw product of metal, when everything is together, is noise. It's a job of the producer or the stage guy to make sure that it doesn't get received that way as a product. So there's a ton of skill that goes into metal, no doubt. But as far as how you receive it, like as a physical human being on your eardrums, like that's the job of the producer to make sure that all that stuff is decipherable. And that's why all these guys spend so much money on text and things of that nature to make sure the tune's right and this is right and that's right. So
it really does make a difference.
Oh,
because we've heard some songs that were like, but then if they would have been a bit more production, maybe if the stuff would have kind of melted together better, it would have been better. This says the definition of noise is a sound, especially one that is loud or unpleasant or that causes disturbance.
Right.
And that's the thing, like, I feel annoyed when I hear a song that doesn't mesh well together. I want to hear, like, it can be unique, but, like, those sounds still have to...
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that, metal culture, everything gets turned up on 10, you put the distortion all the way down, and da-da-da-da-da, and so, like during the new metal era, everybody was like drop detuned, and some bands just sounded so sludgy and nasty live because they didn't have the money to get folks that were really, really good. And the clearest one to me was Slipknot. Like when I saw Slipknot in 2000, it was on the Tattoo of the Earth show, and they had just released their self-titled record, and they were coming up on the ascent, but they were not like Slipknot yet. They were still in the orange jumpsuits, and they sounded, I don't know, they didn't sound terrible, but you know, Slipknot's like, and it just. Well, I knew what the song was supposed to be, and I knew where all the breakdowns were because you know. But if you did not know Slipknot and you saw them live at that time, it was like, there's a bunch of noise. Then I saw them 2 years later. The Iowa record came out, and they had a lot more money, and the record label was able to invest a lot more money in their stage show, and they were able to get like top-notch, really, really good, you know. And it was unbelievable.
I think
the
that
difference.
Music or art really has to have some form of symmetry. And there are different ways to obtain symmetry.
Yes.
It's not all the same. And I think that that's what makes art so unique and so beautiful is that it can be attained different ways. And if you can capture that within your system, that's it. You've got it.
Yep. So... this is a noise of the system, taking back what's grown so distant now. I'll slice my eyes, cut my fingers. This is me escaping from myself. You shoulda, you woulda, done. Choose your path now. You chant the voice of silence, now wield
You know
an
what?
empty tune.
That part, you shoulda, you woulda, done. Choose your path now. Like, I think that he's, you know, there's always people that are like, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. Like, stop. Just do it.
Yeah.
I was reading, somebody was saying, like, you are always your own boss. It doesn't matter if you're working for McDonald's or if you're working for Walmart or wherever you're working for, you are your own boss. You are the one that decides whether you're going to stay at that job or you're going to get a better position. You're the one that chooses what you're going to do with your future by how you relate to today when you're doing your job. So you are always your own boss. You just choose which type of boss you want to be to yourself. You want to be, you know, stuck in some whatever? Well, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's like taking accountability for yourself, for your mind, for your life, and then making your choices. Instead of making it seem like life happens to you, make life happen and choose your path now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
What? I know, we have these kind of conversations all the time.
Yeah.
I actually applied some of it today. School went a lot better.
Yeah, I'm about to do that.
Yep, I'm speaking to you, brother.
I'm about to. At the same time, I also know that, and I'm usually the take accountability for yourself person, but so I'm going to provide the balance. Now, I also know that we're in a particular situation where we have the liberty to do that.
There are different degrees to which you do that, but everybody has to take accountability at their own job. I'm
not sure everybody can just quit their job tomorrow.
No, I didn't say quit your job. I didn't say quit your job. But if you're working at the lowest position at Walmart or the lowest position at McDonald's, you work your ass off in that position you make good on that so that way you can get a better position. Make yourself the type of associate that life is more difficult for your manager if he lets you go than if he keeps you. That's the type of person you need to do. I don't think that everybody can just open some side business.
I agree with that. Although, I mean, if you talk... everybody that opens up a side business or has opened up a small business, they always talk about it like it's easy to do.
Well, I think it's certain type of personality to do it. And it's easier for those personalities.
You know, and I don't know if we've done that. I try, you know, I talk about the fact that we do multiple things because people always accuse me of being some socialist and who wants free stuff and yada yada yada. I'm like, no, I'm not supporting Bernie Sanders because I want free stuff. Like I am going to be victimized by Bernie more than you probably. So then that's when I'll mention, hey, we're doing 2 or 3 things simultaneously here, and we, you know, one of the reasons I stay up so late is the only time I have free time, you know, but so I get that. I just, you know, and you know, the whole I pulled myself up from my own bootstraps and you are in a bad situation because you didn't think, I think has a kernel of truth to it. I do think there's a kernel of truth to that, especially in America. But I also know, I've also seen people work really, really, really hard and one thing or another happens to them and they, you know, it doesn't matter. If you're paraplegic, you can run all you want. You're not going to win the Boston Marathon, period. And so, like, I do want to fact, but I agree, like, the whole shoulda, woulda, coulda thing, like, the vast majority of us, when we say that, like that was on us, and you got to take accountability. And there's a lot of people that like have these opportunities where, like, the thing is right in front of you, and you can jump on it, and people don't jump on it. They don't want to take that risk. You know, I remember at the beginning, like starting the channel. Like starting the channel.
So scared.
Starting the channel was not cheap. Well, starting the channel was very cheap. But when I decided,
trying to make it good.
When I decided we need to convert this into an actual small business, which means we're going to have to.
You decided that really quickly. It was really fast because you were thinking the video quality was not good. Yeah,
we got to get very good video quality. We got to get it back. We got to invest in a background. We got to invest in a computer. Computer's $4,000. Like. It was a big leap of faith, but I knew that we had something, and I knew that we were going to.
Very nervous about that. I didn't like it at all.
And who knew it was going to metastasize into the other things that we're going to be doing. So but the whole woulda, coulda, shoulda thing, I think, is one of those things. Because to me, I'm like, well, we're still young, so I mean, if the thing dies, I had no. To be honest with you, there was no like plan B, like, oh, this could die. Like, I never really thought of it that way. Like, I was pretty certain that we were going to be able to make it happen. But at the same time, I always go through these things like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, nobody's going to die. Because that's my mindset. It's like, if we do this and YouTube doesn't work out, like, we're not going to die. So what's the problem? But I'm so happy because there are other things where I'm like, oh, if we would have really stayed up on that Twitch thing, that would have been a whole other, so like, there are times, and I hate that feeling of like, oh, if I would have done this and this would have happened, if I'd have done that would have happened. I try to limit those as much as I possibly can.
There's so many things that we could do though.
Those things frustrate the hell out of me. Like they really, really upset me when I'm in those situations. So. I'm glad that we kind of took that leap. You chant the voice of silence.
That's interesting.
Now wield an empty tomb. I beckon the prayers from me. Betray your wound. I just think I think it's saying like you want to say something, but you edit yourself. You quiet yourself. So basically, you're dead. You're dead inside. Wield an empty tomb.
Okay.
Because you're not saying what you want to say because you're going along with the party line because you want to keep everything status quo. That's what I think he's saying, and that's why he says, "Now wield an empty tomb. I beckon the prayers from me. Betray your wound." A lot of people do that though. A lot of people edit themselves. It's kind of like. I think it's some
reason to do that though.
There are some times when it's good to edit yourself. I think all of us would agree with that. But then there are other times when it's like, I think if it's to spare the feelings of a person that we love, I think everybody's like universally like, okay, honey, does this make me look fat? And the guy goes, oh well, I love you no matter how much you weigh or whatever.
Oh, so you're not advocating lying to her.
No, I'm not saying lying. I said edit yourself, right? So you edit that situation. I think like for a personal relationship, people are good with that, but like it's weird when it gets into the political realm and you start editing yourself. People are very, very unforgiving.
Whenever I say, "Does this look good?" you always say, "Everything looks good on you." Is that your way of editing?
No, because everything does look good on you. I mean, but you're a very separate insular case. That's not true for most people, right? So like dudes have to go there. But like, for example, I had a conversation with you a couple days ago that was pretty frank and raw, and you had brought the subject up a week or two before, and I just kind of went I kind of went around it. So those are the things where I edit you. Your appearance, but see, your appearance is not as important to me as it is to you, right? So the things that are important to me, like, this could hurt her, I generally try to stay away from her. My way of editing is just to avoid the conversation.
And then I hate that when I see avoiding.
Yeah, and then you always try to get me into trap me into a corner to have the conversation. Then I just do the arithmetic and I go, well, it's 12 o'clock, so that means she's not going to talk to me for the rest of the night. But then her night's over anyway because I only have 2 other hours with her anyway. So then I had no problem saying it. I was saying, she's not gonna. And I was right. You didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. So
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I was honest with you about the thing, and then you know the thing.
Oh my gosh.
I was honest with you about it, and that was the end of it. That was the end of you talking to me for the rest of the night. So, but I knew it was going to happen, and I had my Hillary documentary up, 4 hours of it, and I just did 4 hours of stretching, and there you go.
Stretching.
Redeemed the time. Yeah, I just stretched the entire time during the thing. It's important. So Goggins says. Goggins only does 2 hours of stretching, so I beat him for one night. If I did that every night, then
that's a lot of stretching.
I'd be all set. Huh?
That's a lot of stretching.
It's important.
I'm like, am I at 30 seconds yet?
I know, you're such a lazy bum. You point your fingers in hate, your stillborn dreams are a lie. This life is a breath on a mirror, so you can choke on your pride. That is true, though. The people who, like, the woulda, shoulda, coulda people, I noticed that. Those people are full of hate. The people that, like, their dreams died and all that stuff, and I'm not saying their dream, I'm not talking about, like, your dream died because of something out of your control. Like, you just wouldn't take the leap, and now you resent the people. I see it all the time, like, and when I initially, you see it, and sometimes you see it in the comment section, and like when I initially started the channel, I was like, but then you start feeling bad for them because you're like, well, how would you feel if you know what I mean? Like you had some dream, or you had.
I would hate that.
You had big sights on stuff. See, my thing is like if I have some big dream and I try something and I failed, like I tried and I failed, it wasn't in the cards. That's one of the conveniences of believing in the sovereignty of God. You can just say, hey man, you applied all the means, you did everything you're supposed to do as a cutter of Allah. It's not going to happen.
Well, I think that sometimes people are afraid to try their hardest and fail.
Yeah.
So then they don't try their hardest and then they fail, and then they're always like, I should have tried my hardest.
Yeah.
But, and so then you're kind of stuck in this weird place where. Regret.
Yeah, and there was one particular thing that I wanted to do here in this area locally, and there were start-stops because of certain people in my life at the time that made it just impossible for me to do it. And then I was just like, I'm just going to do this thing, man, whether or not this person goes along, And I, to this moment, I'm not particularly sure, if that was the right thing to do. Like, I did it, and I got out of my system, but at the same time, I'm like, if I'd have waited a year or two, I don't know. But I had waited, like...
Yeah, I don't think...
There were lots of wait another year or two, and the thing just wasn't... happening.
I'm looking at the person now.
Correct. It's like the pause button has been hit, and there's been no... Yeah. No, Strange stuff. So yeah, I just think that this is like, being a person who goes for it and having to deal with the people who don't go for it, the people who play it safe. And see, that was... Go ahead.
But if you go for it and you fail, at least you can have pride in the fact that you went for it.
Right.
And that you tried your hardest. Right.
But what I've noticed is that people... That's one of the things that my mom just did not have a concept of a fear of failure. Like, and I honestly didn't really know that was a thing until LeBron James, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, he would just choke. At the beginning of his career, he would choke in these really, like, important moments when his team needed... It's kind of like, we're playing Fortnite.
I knew it was coming.
At the beginning, she's like a stone cold killer. Like, she's... Like, it's amazing. She'll take out, like, a whole squad by herself. Because we usually go 2-on-4. Like, it'll be us two versus, like, a whole squad of people. And, like... But then when it comes down to, like, the final 3 or 2 people, like, she just completely freezes up. But
it's completely true.
But when I was growing up, like, my mom would, whether it was football or time to go in the playoffs or taekwondo tournament, she'd be like, all right, Vincent, come, we're going to win now. We're going to get the championship, come. And, like, It was just like that, and it wasn't like pressure. It wasn't. I didn't feel she was putting any pressure on me. I believed everything my mom could have told me the sky was orange. I'm like, oh, I thought it was blue, but okay. So like she was saying that, I was like, okay, all right. I go. I practice my kata for hours. I feel like I'm the best when it's time to spar. Like I feel like I'm gonna be okay. I know I'm supposed to get headshots, and I was pretty good with my, my feints and stuff like that. So, and then football was the same thing. Like we were undefeated, so obviously we're not going to lose in the playoffs. And baseball is the same thing. But it was funny, was because baseball, we never won the championship, and it was this terrible team called the Pirates who had no talent, and for whatever reason, they always had our number. One of us would make some ridiculous. It was me, Tristan, and Floyd on the same team. One of us would make some hair. It was just incomprehensible. But I remember I was up there one time, and like there was all these fights happening, fights between us and the other guys, fights with the parents, and like my mom was going at it,
Oh my God.
and like this white lady was like, "Why don't you be quiet?" My mom said, "What you say?" And the white lady sat right down and folded her nice little hands.
She did.
Oh yeah. You don't want to smoke my mom. But like, and I remember there was one time I struck out.
My family might have been thinking for her to be quiet, but they wouldn't have said it.
They wouldn't. Yeah, that was a mistake to say that to my mother. And then so in the middle of all that, I struck out one time, and she was like, "Go on, Vincent. The next time you come, you hit it." It was just so there was no fear of failure. Like I never was afraid of failing ever. The only thing I was ever afraid of was like being a punk. Like like everybody's fighting, everybody's mad. Like I'm gonna go and stand up for my teammates. This guy Jason was like the tough guy on our team of like, yo, because every baseball team has somebody that will throw the ball at the other player, like hit him
On purpose?
Oh yeah, because you could afford to lose him. So he looked at me. I was like, yo, Jason, next inning we threw the ball right at the guy, their best guy.
That's cheating.
No, it's baseball. It's just like with because it doesn't take him out of the game.
What does it do?
Yeah, he gets to go to his base, and then the umpire looks at you and gives you a warning and all that. But we'd already been warned, so Jason got kicked out. But Tristan was a pitcher anyway, so it's just one of those things where we just it's just. My point was I was never afraid of failing. Even when we did fail, I was kind of confused of like what happened, how'd that happen, how did we not win? And my mom would ask, like, so what happened? Who cheated you? Like...
Oh my gosh!
It was always some strange...
Gosh.
Like, we were always genuinely confused if we didn't win. So we're never afraid of... And so, like, I was never a good friend. I'm not a good friend now, even with people fearing failure. Like,
True.
I don't understand.
You've gotten better at not yelling and all that.
Well, I mean, you keep saying, I never yelled.
Oh, come on, sorry, be all mad about it. I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And then that would stress me out more, so then the next time I had even more pressure.
Well, now I just come in and I go, she's going to choke when we need her. So then when you choke, I go, see, I knew she was going to choke.
Nice.
But a couple days ago, you took out a couple people, you rezzed me, we were right back in the fight, and we actually won.
I didn't know how far we were in the game.
I figured it out. If you could res me one time in the game, we generally win. We've got like a 90% win rate when you can do it one time. When you can kill the bad guy and res me once, we've got a 90% success rate.
Yeah, I mean, it's more just if I don't realize how far along we are in the game.
Yeah. It's just like LeBron. LeBron will do it in the regular season. He had in the regular season, he was killing everybody, and then postseason comes around, forget
That's it.
Biggest front runner. I love him though. He's the greatest of all time. What do you give the song?
8.7. 8.9. 8.9.
8.5. It was kind of, very good song. Like the heaviness, but it was kind of,
It was heavy though.
Verse, chorus, verse. A little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I like the little CD thing.
All right, my insanity. Thank you.
It was a new metal type of
kind of threw some in there.
Situation. I know what you're doing. I'm not going to do that. There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sorry,
Gone. You're ridiculous.
people, however, it is a plague that never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends.